Hi there everyone, thanks so much for tuning in this week, and we're going to talk about accents today. The specific topic is why some accents are harder to understand. Now it comes down to one really simple thing, which is that our ears are not used to listening to this type of sound. And with that in mind, how do we get our mind to go around a sound that we've never heard before? Because if we just made a random sound, it might sound like gibberish to us. And you know what? When I first moved here to the UK, I had no exposure to any of the accents here, but I would understand some of them when I was back home in Canada watching the telly, but at the same time, all the different sounds that came up on there, I wouldn't be able to differentiate which accent from the UK came up on screen. And also because I didn't have any family members from the UK at the time, it was just unknown to me. It wasn't even something that I thought about. Until I moved to the UK and I was in my master's studying my voice studies, I was thrown into the deep end in my accents and dialects class. I now had to listen to all these different accents around the UK. And I remember hearing the Yorkshire accent, a really broad farmer Yorkshire accent, and it was just a couple of words in a phrase being looped around, and it was played at least 200 times. But because my ear was not used to listening to this, and this is still in English, mind you, that I was starting to think that I was hearing gibberish because it was just not making sense to me. I had never heard sounds like that before that sounded so different from how I would say those actual sounds. So as I trained my ear to listen to these sounds, and as people told me, okay, well, guess this one sound. Okay, wow, that's a massive shift in terms of one sound to another sound that's exactly the same one, just in a different region. But when you also start to look at different languages and the different accents across different languages, and you compare them to how you speak or how the standard way of American or British speakers would speak, then you start to understand, oh wow, there are a lot of different technical qualities that are different than exactly what we're used to. It is a really difficult skill to train your ear to listen to all these different types of foreign sounds that you're not used to. But it doesn't mean that they're wrong in any sense. The thing is that if we don't understand it, there is something to learn. But also at the same time, as long as you have clarity in communication, that helps us to understand what someone is saying. Sometimes accent doesn't play that big of a difficult role here. But when our ears don't know how to get around it, and then we start to get frustrated, that's why it becomes even so much harder to understand this accent when our own emotions start to trigger us. Now, if we want to do something about this, we do need to actually consciously listen to lots of different sounds so that we get used to them. You hear them in different ways, of different intonations and different styles of syllable stresses and syllable lengths. Because if you start to think about how a word like develop, and if you hear it in an Indian accent, a lot of the time the stress is on the first sound, develop. If that word was out of context and if I only had 2 syllables, it might not make sense to us as a native English speaker. But it doesn't mean that they're saying the word wrong in a way that they didn't understand that they were saying it wrong. It's only because of what our ears are used to. So if we were trying to learn a different language and we're a native English speaker, we may put the wrong syllable stress on a different language. And I do this a lot with Italian actually. And so I'm always constantly asking people, is this the right way to pronounce it? Or what's the right way to do it? Curiosity really helps us to learn how to do it in a way that a native person would do it, but being open-minded, especially when these sounds are difficult, especially when you're not getting it, it really helps because it helps the other person know that they don't feel judged for their accent, that they don't feel prejudiced against their accent, but that we can also learn a little bit from them. And if they wanted to learn a little bit about exactly how you would say it, they would ask at that point if they feel safe enough to. So that's why some accents are really hard to get our ears around. But the more time we spend with these certain accents, the more that we understand them. And the more that we understand them, when somebody who speaks with that accent comes to us, we then understand a lot more. It's so great to have so many different accents around us. I've learned so much by living in the UK, and I'm so fascinated to hear so many changes in accents in such a small mileage. When I start to hear all the accents of Scotland, all the different ones of Ireland and Northern Ireland, and also all across the UK, oh my goodness, I am mind blown all the time because when I then go back to Canada, everything sounds a little bit more normal to me because that was where I was born and raised and spent at least 25 years of my life. And when we start to open up our ears and our hearts and our eyes to all these different beautiful sounds, we can celebrate them, and it is just such a wonderful thing. So tell me down below what type of accent you speak with, and I am so interested to hear it because mine actually shifts a lot, and if yours shifts a lot, tell me that too. Mine shifts from Canadian to American, but then I'll have some British intonations sometimes, but also my vowels have moved a little bit more British as well. I hope that you found this video interesting, and we look forward to hearing from you on our Facebook online community group that you can request to join right here to tell us all about your accent. Ask all the questions that you want, because as a community we can learn together and we can thrive together if we are open and willing to share. We look forward to seeing you there, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to hit that notification bell up there so that you know when our next video uploads. We'll see you next time, and keep celebrating those accents. See you later. Bye.